I'm going to go ahead and start the recording just because I know we have a lot of people who registered, and we definitely want to capture your brilliance because we're not only going to talk about your event, but the whole thinking about joint venturing in 2024, 2025. So many things have changed since I was a big part of the whole JV community. So I'm really excited just to hear your take on it. But welcome, everybody. This is Milana Lishinsky, and I am the founder of Coaching Genie, a coaching platform for those who do group coaching and are looking for simplicity and all of those wonderful things that having a platform allows you to offer to your clients. And Mark Porteous is the founder of the Soulful Leadership Retreat. And we're going to talk about that today. And it's coming up in February. So it's not like tomorrow, but it is happening in just a few months. I know you already, so many people are talking about it. People are asking me about it. And I'm so curious how you managed to achieve that buzz, because it's so hard to create buzz about anything, and especially a live event, because people need to travel to it. But there's, as much as I don't love, traveling to events, this is the one event that I will fly to. So I'm excited. Hi, everybody. Good to see
And it did take
everyone.
years for you to come to that ability to be able to travel and to have it on the East Coast versus the West Coast.
Absolutely. I was ecstatic when I discovered that it's on the East Coast, because you'll always have me as a customer, as a client, as an attendee, because 6-hour flight to California is a little challenging doing it on a regular basis. And I've done that for so many years. So I'm really grateful. Not to say that if I had to travel to California to this event, I would, just because of the what kind of an event it is and the culture that you created. So let's jump in. So welcome, everybody. This is Milana Lishinsky and Mark Porteous. We're going to talk about joint venturing, networking, collaboration. There's so many juicy questions I have for you, as you know, Mark. But I just want to start by saying that, you know, I've been a member and a founding a co-founder of another JV community years ago, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, I left. And so to see something like what you have created is really refreshing. And I'll tell you, on a personal note, after the pandemic, I felt very disconnected, from people. And this event has brought me into a community that I love, and it brought me back into the circle of people that I want to be part of. It's very isolating. I live in a small town in Pennsylvania, but regardless where you live, you just want to be surrounded by like-minded people, right? Now, I will tell you, my friend, Christine Closer, said she's going to this event, and I asked her, what is it called? And she said, Soulful Leadership Retreat. And the word soul and soulful made it feel like it was a little bit too spiritual for me. And that maybe I wasn't the right person for this event, because I'm very practical. I'm not super woo. I may be an EFT practitioner, but the healing and the soulful stuff is just a little bit too much for me. But then I discovered that you, Mark, are actually a very practical person, and your wife, Renee Porteous, is even more practical and structured. So together, you really bring this heart-centered approach to joint venturing, and that's exactly what I feel has been missing in this place. So I keep coming back, and I attended it, and I can tell you, it is not too woo, it is just right. And all the big name people are attending. So we're going to get to that, how you managed to do that. Um, and I even joined your mastermind program, so I definitely saw so much potential for me and for the people that I serve in this event. So really excited to have everybody here. Now, I personally don't have an event at this moment. Mark, I've done events. I've done events every single year. Um, and, maybe I'm planning to create something in the next few years. This is such a great opportunity for people. and my people to come together, meet me in person, meet each other in person, and just, meet each other after being in group programs together. So that's why I'm really excited to have you here, Mark. So welcome.
Thank you, Milana. It is so very meaningful for me to be here. It does feel so full circle,
Yes.
to full circle, not soulful, but and the whole, even the woo-woo part of it. Your community was a big part of my personal journey, and watching your journey along the way in that, and that yes, you're a very practical and tactical person. People know you for very resourceful, wise, and all of that, but you're also all the things that I consider soulful, which means that you're in alignment with your soul, whether you look at it as your soul or whatever else, but who you really are. You're not trying to pretend to be something you're not, and you're always in integrity. If something isn't going the way that you anticipated it, you communicate very, very well, and I really appreciate that. And so
Mm.
all of the things make it just very, very full circle, and we'll talk more about that as well.
Yes, for sure. Well, so I'm glad you said that it comes full circle, because what you mean, of course, is that you and I met at my event years ago. It was a JV community event.
Mhm.
And if I'm completely honest, and I think I shared that with you, I actually don't remember meeting you there. I think I was in my world on stage, and being an introvert, I was so focused on like doing my thing and getting off stage and going into my green room. So I didn't get to meet a lot of people who tell me that they met me, and I don't recall that information.
And it goes beyond that. We met in 2013 and 2014 and 2015. I was on your coaching team, helping
Yeah.
to enroll people into it. But again, that was a part of why you left it behind. There was so much going on
Yes.
with that.
I burn
Uh,
out for sure.
yeah.
And so I'm so glad that you're doing, and your event doesn't, I know that running events is not easy, and there are moments where you get overwhelmed, but Renee and you together are such a great team where who is responsible for what piece. And this dance that you do with each other is amazing to watch as well.
Mhm.
But let me ask you, what inspired you to create the Soulful Leadership Retreat? Like, um, I think it's year five, maybe
Six. It'll be
longer,
six.
5 years,
This will be our 6th
6 years.
year in
Okay.
2025.
And so what inspired you to create? How has it evolved over the years?
So again, going back to your first event was in 2013, and then by 2015, being kind of on the coaching team, just because of being in the community and everything else and wanting to support it, we had shifted names. That's when I went in the brand Inspired Messengers Network, and we were working with coaches, authors, speakers, and healers. And one of your clients at the time was an energy healer, and I remember that kind of opened up some possibilities for me. But I ran with that brand for about 5 years, and it was in 2019 that my advisors, my soul advisors, all came to Orlando for a 3-day mastermind together. And in that process, rebranded to the Soul Affiliate Alliance
Mhm.
and picked a date for a 3-day event. Now, when I was going to your events, I aspired to speak on your stage the first year, and then the second year I aspired to support it, and I got to do that. And then I was like, I want to have my own event. And I had known Linda Kane for years. She's been at all of our events and is now helping us to coordinate it. So that was a big part of the evolution. But for me, it was really wanting to host a 3-day event. I invested into a high-end mastermind in 2016 just to help fulfill this vision. But it took like 4 more years until 2020 to have the courage, I think was the main thing. But in 2019, we kind of put the stake in the ground. I outsourced my intuition to my advisors, and they picked the date of 2/2/2020, which felt good. It was incredible. But then we found out it was the day of the Super Bowl weekend, and we said, "Uh-oh." And so I tried to back out of it, but it's been that same weekend ever since. And 6 weeks later, after that event, the whole world shut down. So that was the last time we did it live, and then
Yeah.
we did it 2 years virtual. Then we tried it hybrid last year, and then this year that you were there in February, it was just in person. We had 110 people there. So it's not only evolved but deepened each time. So the process is a bit rinse and repeat, the branding, the how we do it, but it feels like more and more people, there's magnetism, like you being there and bringing your energy. like attracts like, and that really is the secret sauce of the room.
Well, and I have to reveal a little secret, if I may.
Okay.
You actually were not going to do the event again.
I was going to get to that, but yes.
But people rebelled against that. And, we wanted to come back because I know how hard it is to build a community in a live event and for people to keep coming back because now they feel like they're part of a community. Every time you do it, it's more like a reunion and a slightly bigger reunion every time. And people just want to be there. Um, and,
You
and
literally came up to me on day 3 and you were leaving and said, "How do I get my tickets for next year?" And you were the first person that we told, "Oh, no, we're not planning to
yeah,
do
I'm like,
that."
what do you mean you're not doing it again? Of course I want to come. And it's the one community where I can see so much potential. And by the way, I just want to say hi to everybody. Yes, we are live. And I used to saying, yes, I'm here. Feels like I'm watching a podcast. We are live, guys. So this is not pre-recorded or anything. I'm picking Mark's brain in real time. It's October the 22nd. And I just want to say hi to everybody. I see everyone who joined us. So
I really love the way you did this, by the way, Milana. I love the invitation. Thank you for setting this up to get to talk about the whole
absolutely.
process, but also the way you shared it with your community, every bit of it. I love it.
Totally. Well, I would personally want to meet more of my people in person. And since I'm not doing my own live events at the moment, I felt like your event would be just so aligned with who I am and what I do that, bringing more of my people into your community would be just awesome. So let's go back for a second to the word soulful because um, I'm curious how you balance the soulful element of your event, and you actually call it a retreat, Soulful Leadership Retreat. You balance it with the practical systems and structures for joint venturing. And I'm curious how you do that. By the way, I do want to put the link to register for the event. So here's the link. It is my affiliate link, and I only posted to hosts. So here we go. One more time, Soulful Leadership Retreat. I mainly just want to make sure that anybody who registers comes and says hello to me because I'm going to give you a personally selected gift basket for you. I'm going to bring it to the event with me. So if you register, let me know because I want to give you a hug with a basket and just make sure that we get to hang out there together.
And
Um,
Renee created something for you this morning. I don't even know if you know it, Milana, but if anybody is on this call, we don't give it out publicly, but because it's your group, Milana 100 will take $100 off of any of those tickets.
oh, that's amazing. Is that all caps?
Yeah, either way will work, but yes, all caps Milana 100 so that your community gets a $100 discount off of any ticket purchase.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. No, I did not know that. So thank you for bringing that up. Love it. So let's talk about the soulful balancing with the practical, because after all, anybody who goes to this retreat, people really want to connect with potential joint venture partners. So how do you balance the soulful aspect with getting Genie partners?
I'm thrilled that you're asking this question because to me it is so important. My very first coach back in 2011, when I first was getting certified, asked what my niche was going to be, and I honestly didn't know what the word niche meant. And he said, "Well, who's your audience going to be?" And I said, "I wanted to be a spiritual coach." And he laughed and said, "Okay, well, you're not going to make any money as a spiritual coach. You can pick any niche that you want, but it has to be one of these three. You can either pick health, wealth, or love, and then you can sneak in spirituality." So I decided
Mm,
to work with spiritual coaches. I worked with energy healers. You mentioned EFT earlier, energy practitioners, holistic wellness, massage therapists, because a lot of times they were averse to marketing. They were averse to owning their own values, so they couldn't do sales and enrollment. And so I figured that I could focus on wealth and money for business owners, but also helping to make an impact because it was really about alignment. In the process, I realized that I was trying to show up the same way I did in my previous sales job, looking like a salesperson, but the woo people, the spiritual people, the aligned people, that's not what they were looking for. They wanted the realness, the authenticity. And so I've realized that leading with soul and then feeding in the health, wealth, and love, soul comes first. And so even at the event, day one is about connecting to who you are. And to me, that's all what soulful means, is really who you are as a being, as a spiritual being, having a human experience. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with, we don't care what your beliefs are, other than you knowing that you are something very special, and to realize more and more of that, and to align your work with who that really is, makes work more fun. So you don't have to say, oh,
Yeah.
when I retire, I'll have fun, or when I get $1 million, I'll have fun. It's like, let's have fun doing it. And being a soulful means being aligned with that piece of it.
And I think that you leading with the word soulful, everybody knows it's a collaboration and a joint venture event, because that's how
Mhm.
you describe it in your page, which I just posted the link to. But the word soulful really attracts a particular kind of business owner. And you know what I noticed, Mark, and you may know that already. I don't lead with spirituality or soulful anything. I lead with business stuff and marketing
Yes.
and, innovation, creativity, but I always end up with people who are spiritual in my group. So it must be something I'm saying, or somehow I am putting out the vibe of maybe being, and I'm the one person who gets up in your room and says, I'm not as spiritual as other people in the room. And then in the break, I don't know if you knew that people were approaching me and saying, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Exactly. Well,
um,
Nancy used to say the same thing. Nancy Judd was always like, that's not, I'm not the woo-woo crowd.
yeah.
But the idea is that you are in alignment, and people see that. People see integrity. But I know a lot of people that are really good, spiritual, soulful, integrity people, but don't have the structures and the systems, or aren't grounded. So sometimes they're up here, and there are times when I can get like that in creativity. And yes, you mentioned my wife. She's really good at bringing me, grounding me in and keeping me centered and focused. And so there are times when she has that. But I was actually asking ChatGPT the other day to tell me something I might not know about myself. And it was saying exactly that, that I have a way of bridging the esoteric and the practical together. And so
Yeah.
um, it is important to have systems and structures to be able to live our purpose and be in flow without being all airy and scattered and not get anything done.
Definitely, yes. So I want to talk about something that you managed to do, which is not very easy to do, and you did it. And now it's just going to keep growing. You actually managed to attract people that I would consider the who is who of the coaching space. People are flying from California. People who I would never imagine would take their time to fly to the East Coast. Um, and so that's amazing. How
Spain
did
and
how
from
did you
Costa Rica,
from from other
UK.
well, geographical areas and other
Mhm.
countries and other locations. So how did you achieve it? What do you think is so special about you and the event and the concept? Why is the who is who of the coaching space coming to your event? And you have a lot of those people. There's so much buzz online about the event.
Well, again, I appreciate you and everyone else for helping to create the buzz, because that's what it takes to create buzz, is the people that are coming. It's just like going to a party. The first
Mhm.
thing you ask is, well, who else is coming to the party? You're not asking what they're going to be serving for dinner or anything else, or what the content is. You're like, who else is going to be there? So that's been 10 years again of having events and showing up to events like yours, and showing up how I am, wanting to connect and wanting to really help build connections. One of our clients, Deborah Poundin, always talks about relationship capital. So I feel like I've been building relationship capital for over 10 years. One of my very, very first event was Hay House, Louise Hayes, Hay House Movers and Shakers event. And
Mhm.
one of their top 10 rules was it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. I think for anybody, as long as you just keep showing up and be authentically, whatever you're meant to do. And for me, I feel like it is my mission to host the Soul Family Reunion. And we happen to be hosting it at a resort called Reunion Resort. You mentioned that it's like a family reunion, so it
Meant
really
to
is.
be. I know the hotel, the resort is actually called Reunion Resort. So that's amazing. And I'm just going to put the link one more time along with the code for getting the $100 discount to get the ticket. So, many events are really about the speakers and the gurus. You and I both have been to events like this. There was an event that started out as an event about us, the participants, and then somehow it gradually evolved into an event about, the gurus on stage and how successful they are. And suddenly the audience felt very disconnected, and the event actually died out. The host no longer was hosting the event because people no longer felt that connection. So you've actually structured the event, the retreat. It's all about the people and relationships. Can you share a little bit more about this participant-centered culture in your Soulful Leadership Retreat, Mark?
I really love the way you just phrased that as a participant culture,
Yeah.
because I look at it as a container, and that's part of our job as a host is to hold this container. And the way that you create the container is the way that the event goes. And so a lot of times it is really just a function of the speakers to either pay to help fund it or to promote it, or it's just kind of wedged in there. And we've been very intentional since the beginning. There's a structure for each day, and each piece of content allows for the conversation and the wisdom in the room to come forward. So it's not just about the talking head on the stage. Each segment has breakouts and integration, so that we're actually getting to all share and hear from each other.
Yeah, yeah. And so what exactly is it going to look like this year in terms of structuring the event to facilitate joint venturing? I know we did a lot of that last year. Have you changed things? What are you doing this year to actually facilitate the connections? What does it look like for you to create opportunities for people to collaborate and find JV partners this year?
Well, like I said, it is called a retreat. It's a Soulful Leadership Retreat, not just a conference. Every year we've evolved. Pieces of it are things like movement. You mentioned your dear friend and roommate, Christine Closer, is known as a get your book done publisher and a transformational author coach, but she's really evolving her own brand. But more importantly, that when she shows up, she's showing up in service, not talking about her brand, and doing things like groove dance. So in the evening, we're going to be able to like get into our bodies and get in after a long day of networking. Because so day one is all about connecting to who you are, and there's a couple of things that we do mechanically. One of them is that we actually have a table host. You will be one of the table hosts. So we'll have 22 tables with 10 people at each one, and you'll get to move around. Milana will pick a different table each day, and you'll have to find her one day. You only get one day at Milana's table, and then you got to go find somebody else's table. And that creates an aggregation in the room. So everybody has more chance to meet each other, learn from each other, and share. And then in the evening, Milana will also be hosting one of our partner Palooza tables. So we have 20 of our top partners, and whoever brings the most people will be one of those partners. And again, they're going to be creating ways for each person to share who they are with lots of different people within that activity. But all through all 3 days, we have the space in the room, the hallway talk. And even things like the way that the housing is structured. We have villas right on property rather than a hotel room where you might have one or two roommates or none at all, and you're just in a $100 night room. Here you're in a gorgeous villa with a beautiful full kitchen, balconies, and everybody has their own bedroom and bathroom, 2 3 bedroom units. And that's a lot of times where the overflow comes, all of the wisdom that you've been sharing. You get to decompress and digest stuff together. Many of the people that were met as roommates for the first time last year or the year before are still roommates and are still partners in doing things. And out of the 110 people that we had last year, we had about 34 people that joined MetaMind, but everybody in the room is still getting value from that experience. They're still partnering. And so the idea is that we want people to leave there with tangible roadmap of here's the connections, here's what we're doing together. And it's not just I'll promote you, you promote me. We're talking about integrated partnerships. We're talking about long-term visions, and that's really what we want to create.
And there's also this thing about just being surrounded by people in your business, having a community. by itself, that is the energizing factor for your entire business. It will lift your entire business up. I personally have enjoyed the mastermind connections since I left so much, because it's a very different way to do business and to grow, is to mastermind with people. And of course, the joint venturing that happens as a natural result of it. So you did mention that there are options for people to share a 2-bedroom suite. I'm personally sharing, I know that. And that facilitates connections with people, right? So I think that you picked such an amazing hotel or resort. And it's not that, the first time I heard about it, like, I'm not sleeping in the room with somebody else.
Good.
And turns out you get your own private room, and the other person gets their own private bedroom, and then there's a common area. And even depending on where you book it, you'll even get a veranda, which is absolutely stunning, as an accommodation for that. So,
Mhm.
Mark, what advice would you give to somebody who feels a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit intimidated by the idea of networking with hundreds of people,
Mhm.
especially introverts? Those of us who are introverted. I know you're not an introvert, but how do you recommend to those people to deal with that? Before you answer, I just want to say Renee Duncan just registered. She put that in the chat. So Renee,
Hey,
we'll
Renee.
be seeing you there. Congratulations. It's going to be an awesome event. And I'm so glad that you're going to be there with us.
And
Sharing.
you and they get and Renee gets a special gift from you when she gets there,
Absolutely. Yes. A gift basket a la Milana. So
which
we'll
is very
make
cool.
sure that you come and see me, Renee. So totally fun. All right. So yes,
This is
introvert.
a huge question because again, it's really easy when we're doing our events on Zoom. We got really desensitized to being able to show up. We don't even have to turn our cameras on if we don't want to. We can be in a 3-day event all day long and have nobody ever see us. So to show up in person takes something. It takes a little bit of time, energy management, all of that other stuff. But the fear part, it can be the biggest part. It can really be debilitating. So one, I encourage people just to get there, and the room will take care of you. We've had quite a few people who came there expecting one thing and something completely different showed up. The space in the room, the heart that's there, we will keep you safe, but also help stretch you out of your comfort zone. Because if you want to make an impact, it really is important to not do what's comfortable, but to do what is really being called. So anybody who's feeling called, if it feels awkward or uncomfortable or a FOMO, maybe it's a no. But if it's a like, oh, I just got to be there. My soul wants to be there. Every cell in my body is calling me. No, that's a yes. And then we want to support that with mind shifts and understanding. So one of the things we're doing for everybody that registers is every month we're having a Zoom meeting. I just got done off of a 7-day cruise, so I missed last week's, but Renee was hosting it. And it's a way for everybody to get to know each other before they show up. So they're already building relationships, they're already familiar, and it doesn't feel like you're walking into a room full of strangers.
Yes, I forgot to mention that every month until February, we get to connect and see each other on Zoom every single month. So we already know each other a little bit. I love that idea. That's a brilliant idea, Mark. Um, there is something about your event that feels very different. To me, it's really the idea of everybody being a leader in the room. They're a leader in their own niche, their own space, their own topic or theme. And so you walk into a room full of leaders who all want to take care of you and each other. And it's just really phenomenal to watch, especially with a soulful energy. Any other event, a bunch of leaders, there would be a lot of egos. There would be a lot of FOMO with a negative connotation to it. And so I've
Mhm.
been in those rooms. So what do you think makes your event, sets this retreat apart from other business and networking events, Mark?
Well, as you were talking earlier, I got excited thinking about, I was talking about creating the container, and part of that is the agreements that we make. So any partnership, whether it's a marriage or a joint venture, or even a client and coach, is an agreement. And we want to have clear agreements. You have very clear agreements with your clients. They know what they're going to be getting. When we started this event, the very first day, we create the container with a set of agreements. And one of them is leave your ego at the door. We want everybody to show up as equals. We want everybody to show up with a beginner's mind. Because if you already know all the answers, you don't have a lot to contribute or receive from being there. And all of the little pieces about respect and understanding that we're not selling to each other. That's a big piece of it. So we do have a no selling rule. We will have people that will be speaking from stage. We're very limited on offers. We don't want it to be a pitch fest. We want to give free content and opportunities. And there are people in the room that are doing business. We have all kinds of testimonials from people that have done tens of thousands of dollars in business with each other after the event. But we want people to feel safe, to not feel like every other person at the event is a leader and they're all trying to sell something to me.
Yeah.
Not even just the people on the stage, but I've been in rooms where it's just like, oh, I thought we were having a conversation, and all of a sudden something switched, and now I feel like I'm in an enrollment conversation. And so we again try to set the container that that's not what people are doing. They're here to build relationships, and some of those might turn into partnerships, some of them might turn into clients, and some of them just might turn into super fans.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really actually interesting because everybody has something to sell. But what you're creating is this very safe environment for people just to be there. And I love that. I have a question for you. Somebody's saying, can you make the event in April? I believe you're only doing it in February, right? That's
You
your
do
month.
it.
That's the month. Because where else do you want to be? I don't want to be in Orlando in April. I went to Orlando in April with my kids. I thought I was going to fry to death. That's how hot it was.
April's about the end of the good. You can go into May at the very latest, but yeah, June, July, August, September, stay up north. November and February are the best times to be here.
That's true. That's true. Because then December, January, a little bit rainy. I've been there as well.
Chilly too. It gets down to
So
like 50.
I'm going to put the link one more time with the code for you to register, guys. So Soulful Leadership Retreat. Is there anything else that you would add? And by the way, guys, if you have any questions from me or from Mark, now is a good time for you to put it in the chat. Go ahead and put it in the chat. We're happy to answer. We'd love to see you there. Is there anything else that you wish I would have asked you and I didn't, Mark?
Not so much to ask, but something that you brought up that just came up to me was a part of the containers that a lot of times you'll see people that the speakers will come, speak, and run. Everybody that's there is there to be there. People that are coming there to see you. You're sharing this with everyone. You're not going to be hiding out in your room. You show up, and that's what we're asking everybody else to do. So we want you to commit to coming and showing up. So if you hear the call and feel called to be there, showing up is half the battle. And everybody in the room really does that. You'll see that there's not very many empty seats throughout the entire event.
It's so interesting that you said speak and run, Mark. Every event I've ever been to, that's how the speakers behave, is they speak on stage, they come half a day before they need to speak. They sit in the back of the room until it's time for them to speak. After they speak, they hang out for a few more hours to make sales, and then you don't see them again. And so I think this is the benefit of a how do we call it? Like the participant-centered culture is that everybody, including the speakers, are participating. They are attending the whole event because everybody wants to network with everybody else. Everybody wants to be seen and connected to everyone else in the room. And so I love that the speakers, the moment they get off the stage, they are participants. And before they speak, they're participants. So I totally love that. There is a, yeah.
One more real quick thing that just came up too, because some people will see it on the page that there's 3 different levels of tickets. The basic ticket covers the 3-day event. The next upgrade, the gold ticket, basically covers food, and it covers our cost of food and beverage. We're not trying to make extra money on that. And then the other ticket is a VIP reception the night before the event and a VIP mastermind brunch from 9 till noon the day after the event.
So there is more opportunities if you wanted to like get a little closer to the people who are going to be staying as VIPs. It's very affordable to jump in. It is not a $20,000 investment, to join a VIP level ticket. So it's totally affordable. Bill is asking, will you be able to share a few weeks before the event so that we can better decide if there are good fits, people I can partner? I believe you are actually listing the people who are speaking and attending at the event right on the website. So you already can see who is going to be there. The list, the roster is already on your website. Am I correct, Mark?
That is correct. Yep. We have all of this year's and then our previous year speakers. And then, yes, we have a page. So everybody that registers will be invited to the page. We would love for if you're committed to being there, be there. But we do have a money back guarantee. So if you come and you feel like it's not a fit, we're happy to refund your money. That's never a concern.
Mm-hmm. Bill is asking, does it state their background or company focus? If I understand correctly, you're just listing the name. I mean, Bill, you can literally go to the website and check it out. The link we already put, I'm going to put it right here one more time. But I believe you can also just check everybody out by searching them on Google.
And anybody that's referred through you, you can email me or my team will respond, mark@markporteous.com. If you mention Milana, any questions you have, we'll respond to.
Okay, did I spell that right? mark@markporteous.com. I put it in the chat.
Yes. Yep.
In case there's an email. So I'm going to ask you one last question, and unless there is any other questions from our wonderful attendees today, we're going to wrap it up, Mark. What will people be missing out if they choose not to come? I'm curious, like from that angle, what will they be missing out if they don't attend the event? I know what I would be missing out, but I'm curious what your perspective is.
I saw this giant golden hammer. I'm becoming more aware of my empath abilities, but to me, the golden hammer represents everybody has a golden hammer. In fact, you might know the saying that to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So you use simplicity to help everybody do better in their coaching. I use connection. I believe there's a connection that can solve every problem that I have, whether it's a connection with a person or whatever that is. And so I think that's what people will really be missing is the connections to help their vision get to the next level. We talk about the hero's journey. And if people are feeling called into their journey, kind of out of the ordinary world, if you stay there, you're going to be missing out on creating your big vision and the opportunities to do that. So the hero's journey is all about responding to the call. So those who do not respond won't know what they're missing. They won't know the enemies and the ogres that they will defeat. They won't know the treasures and the boons that they will bring back to them. But you can hear about some of the treasures and the boons that other people had on the webpage. And I would love to hear what you thought, what you were says people might be missing out.
Definitely the feeling of being inspired to elevate my business to the next level. I think there is something very different about the energy of being in the room, surrounded by other, visionaries and high-level thinkers that I just don't get access to living in, a small town in Pennsylvania. I just don't have. I try joining different groups and networking events, and it's just not the same. The level of thinking that you attract into your group and your tribe is just a completely different level. And so I feel like I would be missing on that. I'm seeing your event as the launch pad for anybody, but for me specifically, it's the launch pad for 2025. I know I'm going to leave and I'm going to have my 2025 figured out, both energetically speaking and also logistically, and the marketing plan and the whole business strategy. So just as you value connections, I personally value ideas. But ideas without connections don't really happen as easily. So I'm looking forward to the ideas that I generate by being in the room. So that is for me to look at. Yes.
You gave me some goosebump moments there, Milana. I love so much about that. And you made me think of my daughter's favorite play, which is Hamilton, and the idea of being in the room where it happened. And the
Oh,
fact that this is the room where it happened, the
yes.
idea is something else. I love it.
I didn't get a chance to actually be in the room where Hamilton is playing. I was in my living room when I was watching it.
Me
And
too.
I know it would have been magical to actually be in the room where it happened. You know, we're playing with words here in case anybody here who is not familiar. That's an actual song in the musical, The Room Where It
Mhm.
Happened. Yes, yes.
And there's something about that though, about being in the room where it happened, like even where something is inspired. You may have been in a mastermind where something, and then all of a sudden you see it come to fruition. And I know some of the things that you are inspired to do, and I'm excited to watch them come to fruition as well.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
thank you so much for sharing. We're going to wrap things up. If there are any questions, please email Mark, mark@markporteous.com. I put the link in the chat. You also see the link to the event. I really hope that you make it happen. I also want to say that, um, there are all kinds of reasons why you can't make it to the event. Wrong timing, wrong location, whatever it is. But if it's the right event and you really resonate with it, I don't see that being an obstacle. I feel like for me, the only obstacle personally, because I don't like to fly, would have been to fly across to another country where it's like more than 6 hours. But I would definitely fly if logistically it's possible to your event from, up to 6 hours, Mark. And so that is definitely, the event is very, very special. There is no other event like yours where it's both the soulful aspect and the joint venturing and the education around joint ventures as well. So everybody who comes to the event, they are already primed to partner. You don't need to guess like, oh, are they open to partnering with me? Yes, they are, because that's why they're there. And that's a big, unique aspect of the Soulful Leadership Retreat.
Mhm.
Mark, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us and talking about the event. I really hope everybody that I will get to see some of you, many of you at the event in Orlando. And thank you again for taking the time of your day to join us today. So have a great rest of the day. Bye, Mark. We'll see you
Thank you,
there.
Milana. Appreciate it.
Bye.